This video is not about, for example, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to control your emotions. I'm gonna teach you how to basically give yourself a break. No, I'm gonna tell you when you're being stupid. I'm gonna tell you when you're being smart. And by the way, there is no need to actually have me make a video about, do you have a spending problem? Because the answer is, if you're broke, you have a spending problem. And if you think just because you have 30K saved up or 50K saved up, but you had a job for the past like 10 years making 50K and you made $500,000 and all you have to show for it is $30,000, the answer is you also have a spending problem. So that's the whole thing, okay? So in this video, I'm gonna break everything down and try to actually help you out with this. So let's get right into it, and do me a favor and actually smash the like button. Now, the very first thing, you actually need to start writing down on paper or on your phone, wherever you want to write it down, I don't care, but you really need to actually write this down. It's basically have two categories, okay? Well, first, I want you to basically just write down all of your expenses, every single one of them. So if you want to pause the video right now, it is the perfect time to pause it. So write down every single expense you actually have. If you don't know every single expense you actually have, that's fine. That happens all the time. Just check your credit card or check your bank account, okay? And then you'll see all of your transactions that always repeat themselves. And then that you can basically say, hey, here are all my expenses, and write every single one of them down. Then I want you to basically form two categories, okay? And these categories are going to be need versus want. A need is something you actually need to live. A want is something you actually don't need to live, okay? It's that simple. I'm not here to make it relative. I'm not here to make it subjective, basically saying, hey, maybe for you that's a need, but maybe for me it's a want, okay? The answer is no. It's a need, it's a need. It's a want, it's a want. You know, humans, we're not that different. We all need four core things: shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportation. Netflix is not a need for anyone, okay? Having a Porsche Cayenne or a fancy car is not a need for anyone. Now, transportation can be a need. So having a Toyota Corolla, that could be a need, okay? Having to take the bus, that could be a need. But you having your $500 or $700 car payment is not a need. So you want to basically be super honest. And then you want to basically sum up both these categories. How much do you have on the want column, and how much do you actually have on the need column, all right? And the core idea is, once you're done with that, I actually want you to do one more thing. I want you to write down your shelter costs on one end. I want you to write down your utilities on one end. Utilities are what? Water, light, and gas. You can have internet in there, and you can have your phone bill in there. But pretty much that's all you need. And here's an example of how extreme I actually am. This is my iPhone. It's an iPhone 13 Pro that I actually bought for cash. I actually own this. Bought it basically used, okay? The idea is I pay $6 a month for this phone, okay? That's it. I use Tello as a provider. There's also, for example, Simple Mobile, which is actually pretty good. There's a lot of plans out there that cost like $30, $20, and you don't need to spend $8. So even on your needs, you want to find out what the best deal is out there. That's the idea. I have an internet plan here in my house. I pay $60. I don't pay $100. I don't pay $150. And I work on the internet. And guess what? I don't need a gigabyte connection. I don't have that either, okay? Pretty much no one needs that. Not even streamers need that, okay? So you want to be very honest. Now, once you sum up your shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportation costs, and you basically have that like that full sum there, let's say you make $4,000 a month, so have your income, and you only have $2,000 a year. That means you should have savings of about $2,000 every single month, because $4,000 my income, my utilities, groceries, transportation, and shelter are only $2,000. 4,000 minus 2,000 gives me $2,000. So basically saying that's how much money I should be saving every single month. Now, how much do you actually save? And that's how you actually know if you've been overspending or not overspending, okay? That's the idea. It's not that complicated. Now, here's one thing I do want to say. Tommy, are you saying I'm supposed to live a life where I only buy the things I need to live and I don't have any enjoyment? The answer is no. You don't have to live that way. But if you are going to have some things in there that you actually just want, be honest about it. Call it a want, and then also call it what it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you time to actually get yourself out of debt faster, to build an emergency account faster, to build up your investments faster, to get a paid off home faster. Because you should have priorities to get these things done. But if you're too worried about having fun, having a fancy car, going on vacation, then guess what? You're going to be a slave to money for longer. And just be honest about that. Now, number two, guys, is going to be, if you want to control your spending, you're going to have to actually grow up. And here's what I mean, okay? It used to be that as people got older, they basically got their priorities in order and actually made sacrifices to actually get ahead in life. But it almost seems that as people get older, they almost get like more stupid. And the marketing kind of just digs in deeper, and they want fancier things and bigger houses, and just basically dig a deeper hole. So when I say grow up, here's the number one thing that made me grow up. It was basically understanding that every time I buy something, I am also spending time. It's not just money. So let's say, for example, you have a job, and in your job, you basically make $20 an hour, okay? That's not that bad, by the way. $20 an hour times 2,000, that's about like a $40,000 like job a year, okay? It's not that bad at all. Now, let's say, for example, you want to buy the latest iPhone. This right here is not the latest iPhone, obviously, but the latest iPhone usually costs about $1,000, right? So $1,000 iPhone divided by $20, that's about 50 hours of your time. So imagine that. Almost an entire work week you're going to spend on an iPhone. Well, not really an entire work week, like an entire work week plus 1 day and a quarter. That's excessive. That's too much, okay? So when you think about that fancy iPhone you have in your hand, you ask yourself, is this actually worth 50 hours of my time? I had to work 50 hours to actually have this phone, when you could just have a phone like this also. I also have two phones, by the way. And this phone cost me about $60. It's an iPhone SE, third generation. I bought it with a cracked screen, fixed it myself, and I'm all in for about like $80 to $90, all right? That's also an option. Basically saying, hey, instead of spending 50 hours, I only spent 3 hours. It's a lot better. I can still do everything I need to do on this phone. Now, let's take this even further. Let's say, for example, what do you drive? The average car payment right now, if I'm not mistaken, it's about like $700. That's excessive. That's crazy. And cars are getting so expensive, people are actually having to basically get 6-year car loans, 7-year car loans, and I wouldn't be surprised if some folks out there might even have 8-year car loans, okay? And a lot of folks, they have negative equities on their car. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous, right? And some people say, well, I don't got to deal with that. I just lease, okay? Even stupider, because you never actually own anything. Now, let's just say, for example, you're buying a $30,000 car. I don't care if you finance it, which I don't recommend you actually do. I recommend you actually pay cash for your car. But the point is, whether you finance it to actually extend this thing for years and years and years, it is still costing you $30,000. Now, what is $30,000 divided by 20? That's about 1,500 hours. Remember when I actually times 20 times 2,000? It's because the average person works about 2,000 hours in a year. This basically says, hey, this is basically costing you, divided by 8, about 187 days of work days. That's how much you're spending on this car. You see my point here? Things are not a joke. So what should be your main focus? Instead of buying things that go down in value, instead of talking about, hey, my priority is getting rich and to build more passive income and to make this risky investment, everyone should kind of just grow up and handle the basics. Handle taking care of all the debt you actually have, except your mortgage. Pay off your credit card. Pay off your student loans. Pay off your car or sell it. Stop buying things on debt. All these things are costing you time. Time is not free because you use it to basically work. And eventually, it is finite because you will die. Like I will die, okay? But that's the whole idea. So, pay off your debt and stop trying to play stupid games like, I want to get more points, so I can travel and I can come back and do it again and be broker with a new memory, a new experience, and repeat, repeat, repeat. It's so dumb, okay? You can always travel and pay cash for things when you have your priorities in place, okay? Now, that's the first thing. Pay off your debt, then start saving up for emergencies. Why is that so important to have money stashed away? Most people, I heard today that they don't even have $500 to cover an emergency. You know what the emergency fund is for people? Their credit cards. I mean, that's kind of stupid. Not kinda, is stupid. It's dumb. So you should try to have saved up at least like 3 to 6 months worth of emergency money. This way, you get fired, you have time to kind of figure it out. You get into a car accident, you can basically buy a car. All these things are so important. Then you start investing into your retirement years, okay? Invest in 10, 15, 20% of your income while you're trying to pay off a home that you can actually afford. Now, that is super important. Let me break this down too. Homes are actually not cheap. Let's say you're trying to buy a $400,000 home. Well, again, use the same math here. Just divide it by 20. Divided by 20, that's about 20,000 hours of your time. That's a lot of time, right? Isn't it? So when you divide that by 8, well, how many days of work is that? Well, that's about 2,500 days worth of work, okay? The answer is it's too much, right? So the whole goal to have a house is not to have something that's fancy. It's to have shelter, to have it paid off, so your cost of living is lower, so you can basically work a lot less. So my rule for buying a house is a simple one. Buy a home on a 15-year mortgage where the cost of owning the home, like for example, the capital payments, the interest payments, the insurance, and the home maintenance, and the taxes and all that stuff is no more than a third, 33% of your monthly income on a 15-year mortgage. Guess what? You're going to be buying a home that's a lot cheaper. You're going to be buying a home where you can actually have room to make extra payments and potentially be done paying it off instead of 30 years, instead of 15 years, maybe like in 10 years or 12 years. Now, imagine that. That's so much better. And when you go to work now, if you have a paid off home, all the money that comes in now, a lot of that money you can use it for more enjoyment and getting fulfillment out of life, okay? But life is not about happiness equals consumption. That is stupid. That's what I would tell you if I want to sell you something. If you buy my product, it makes you happy. If you buy my fancy BMW, it earns you respect. If you go on vacations, you get memories, and those things make you happy. That's not true. It's all fake. And the whole reason we portray those things is because the more you spend, well, the more richer other people get from you, all right? That's the idea. Now, here's my third point, guys, okay? It's that you gotta understand that we have been manipulated. In what way? We grew up in a school system that teaches us just about everything except how to use money, how to manage debt, and how to actually graduate with an actual skill you can actually use to produce something, okay? We don't learn anything about that, okay? We also grew up in a society where everything we watch on TV, well, the TV now is the phone now, but everything we basically watch and we spend hours and hours in these devices, it's all about consumption, okay? Hey, this person got this phone, this person got this car, this person lives this lifestyle, they bought this, they bought that. What do you want? You want the same thing. We live in a world where everything is just spend, 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 and there's just a little cranny that's all about investing in passive income. But even this cranny is all about let's use debt to maximize things, to take it to the next level. And even these people are just asking you to consume, to buy their courses, to buy their books, to buy their products, just so you can make them rich and they can promise you something that's actually not going to happen. So you gotta go further and further and further just to find the truth. And when you find the truth, you find out that, hey, it is as simple as have a good job, don't spend so much money, save and invest, and basically don't get into debt. Life can really be that simple. But we grow up in a world where now people are basically just defending credit cards. Credit cards are good, I get points, okay? And who loves that? Banks love that you're defending credit cards, okay? People always say now, I deserve a vacation. Life is about enjoyment. Don't take things so seriously. I love my job. I love my work, okay? It gives me identity. Who actually loves these things, okay? The answer is your boss loves that you talk that way. American Airlines love that you love vacations, okay? Chase loves that you love their credit cards, okay? All these things are just you being manipulated by companies to spend, to use their products to make them a lot richer. If we all just focused on basically saving and investing and trying to, hey, cut our spending more so we can have more enjoyment out of life, the answer is companies wouldn't really be doing that well, would they, okay? Because they like to manipulate us, okay? And we have been manipulated. So here's my recommendation. Spend a large majority of your time doing some reprogramming, or as the Bible says, the renewal of your mind. That means buying a lot of books when it comes to getting control over your personal finances, okay? My favorite book is called The Richest Man in Babylon, also The Psychology of Money, and there are a lot of books out there. But these books are going to lead you to more books. And the more you read, you're going to start seeing things a lot clearer, okay? And by the way, there's also another book. It's called Your Money or Your Life. That's also a great book. So I gave you 3 recommendations. Read 3 of them. Instead of basically spending 7 hours or 5 hours on your phone a day, if you spend 5 hours on a book, you'll be done in about 2 days, okay? And that's a lot better of an investment if you ask me. Now, instead of making this video a lot longer than it needs to be, I'm gonna end it with these 2 core ideas. Idea number 1 is going to be, remember, you don't deserve anything. And idea number 2 is going to be, remember, be patient. And the first part of you not deserving anything is a good thing, because it means that if you want to deserve something, all you have to do is put in the work, okay? So there's a very simple rule when it comes to the Bible also, which is basically, if you plant, you harvest. So if you actually do the work, you will deserve something. If you're going to a 9 to 5 right now, or a minimum wage job, the job you're actually doing there and the wages you're actually getting, you actually deserve that. You might not like it, but you deserve that. So if you actually increase your skills, you'll be able to deserve more money and maximize your income, and so on and so on. That's actually a very good principle. And number 2 is the patience part. Remember, the more patient you actually are, the more you can delay gratification, the better off you're going to be later in life. Whenever you see somebody on the streets and they tell you, I don't work a lot, I'm a millionaire, or when you read about the millionaire, for example, in The Millionaire Mind, or what's that book? I think it is The Average Millionaire. There's a book right there, The Average Millionaire. And you read about these people are in their 50s. So if you can spend your 20s and 30s being very smart with your money, then you can basically live your 40s or even like your late 30s living life a lot better than anyone else is going to be able to ever. So delay gratification. I know you want the best iPhone now. It won't make you any happier. These devices are just basically consumerism devices, okay? They consume you. They basically make you a lot dumber, if you ask me, in a lot of ways. But that's the idea. If you want a new car, just wait. Get a 2005, a 2010. Pay cash for it. If you want to live in a fancy house, no, just buy the house you can afford to buy, to actually own. When you have that home, that house, and you actually own it, when you have the car and you actually own it, you have a lot more income. When you grow your passive income and you have more money coming in, you can make smarter choices for yourself, okay? But don't think, here's my last thing, I promise you, but don't think that you're going to be happier by spending money. It's not true. And that's the key when it comes to control your spending, because usually you're spending a lot of money because you think it's going to equal happiness or something else, and it's not true. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified. Comment down below if you agree, you disagree. A lot of folks disagree with me with my radical ideas, but a lot of folks are broke.